us through what your approach will be, what the team's approach will be, how you see the best way to respectfully handle the day?
Yeah, well, I think the club's probably addressed that in terms of, trying to respect the wishes of Meredith and Meredith Walsh and the family in terms of a low-key approach towards, is a day of some reflection, but that's how we're going to approach it.
Can you tell us about, we know that everyone mourns differently, grieves differently, but what you've seen of you spoke about their resilience, but what you've seen of the group?
Yeah, well, I think that's the event of last year, and I guess it's as another opportunity to reflect, and it's not just the players, it's the staff and the club in general as a whole. So, as I said, we'll take a low-key approach, and some people, I think, in talking to some of the players and staff, they dealt with that last year, and this might evoke some memories, but there'll be others who may still be dealing with some grief, and there's certainly support there for those people.
You talk about that resilience when you first arrived, and you probably noticed it even when they were charging in the second half of last year. Can you tell us from the inside what you've then learned of that resilience and how it's played out this year?
Well, it's interesting. I think history sort of says that after going through an event like that, it's almost a personal growth development that happens within the group, and so I don't know. It's difficult to really put a finger on it as to what it looks like. But there's a certain resolve and a certain bond that exists between the players, and some of that's through playing football together, and some of that's through experiences. And unfortunately, the events of last year happened, but that does create an opportunity for growth.
Is it a challenge for you because you've come in from the outside and you then have to absorb an understanding of how different people react different ways and how to handle? It's not one coaching method that can work for everyone in this way.
Oh, I think it's as I said at the start, it's a unique set of circumstances that I came on board with, and but I've also come on board a footy club that was, as I said at the start, was a good club. It was good people, had some good results last year, and what we've tried to do is build on that.
Do you see it affecting the players at all come Sunday, Don?
No, I don't think so. And the discussions we've had with the players to date has been that it's a day of a period of some reflection. But as I said, a lot of players are just now recognising it, but they're looking forward to the game.
So, in terms of mental approach and attitude, do you expect it to not affect the way they start the game?
Yeah, I'd expect not. No.
Was that pretty well proven with the West Coast game, because that was remembering the first time they had to play football again and the way they handled it that day?
Yeah, it wasn't even
same hotel, same ground.
Wasn't even discussed, to be honest. Okay. Before the West Coast game. So,
and then leading into this one, there's no need to sit anyone down individually or as a group to discuss how they're tracking?
No, we've spoken to the group. So the group obviously is aware of the significance of the day. As I said, they'll deal with it all differently, and they're aware that there's support for those who need some support. But the group's also in a headspace. They're playing some really good positive footy, and they're looking forward to continuing that on Sunday.
How important is it to go over to MCG and play these two games back to back over there with finals fast approach?
Yeah, look, it's an opportunity to play at the MCG. I mean, interstate clubs don't get that many opportunities, and that's where that's the sort of the home of footy, if you like. We've had one game there already this year, so the next 2 weeks become a really good, not only playing at the G, but also to continue what's been some good form. The guys are playing some good footy, and an opportunity to go over there and play against two sides that are really emerging and playing some strong footy as well is another challenge. And as I said, I keep saying this game just keeps throwing up challenges, and this week will be no different.
Don, we're seeing teams that are now building training facilities where they either have movable boundaries, movable goals, and like we see, Essendon have got 2 training tracks depending on the fields they play on. How much does the ground affect a game, or do you actually believe if your game plan is that good, it shouldn't matter where you play?
I think there's a little bit of that in terms of the game plan should hold up. I mean, there are nuances in every ground, and we found that at Subiaco being slightly different. I mean, you've got Geelong's a little bit more narrower, so it's probably the adaptability of how you play. But the principles and the fundamentals of how you want to play shouldn't really change, on the ground. It's a bit the same with conditions. You just have to be able to adapt to that scenario.
So the size of the MCG is not a reason why the Crows have not struggled but haven't been as successful as at other grounds?
Oh, I wouldn't think so, no.
What do you think you get of Melbourne? It's an erratic read on their form, also an erratic read on which style they want to play. What Melbourne do you plan for?
Well, what I've seen from Melbourne this year, they've certainly improved in their scoring. I think that's indicated by the numbers. They're building a really strong midfield group through there, off the back of a ruckman who's having a really solid year, and some good inside mids. And their ball movement is probably more adventurous than it was, say, this time last year. So I think they're bedding down a really solid style, and again, that's probably a different challenge as we find each week in this industry. You get a different challenge, and we get one come Sunday against Melbourne, who's a team that I think is emerging.
Have you had to manage the training load over the past week, given you've now got a 9-day break between last Thursday night and this Sunday's game?
Yeah, we've done. We sort of did some training, probably heavier than we normally would do on a Monday. So we train Monday, and then we'll train again tomorrow in terms of main session. Keep the guys going and so forth. So it's been it's almost been 2 mini breaks. We had the 12 days into West Coast and then a longer break into Melbourne this week. So we've certainly looked at the load level to make sure it's appropriate and right, and keep them up and going.
Has that been beneficial for Brett then? Has he reported that the players seem fresher or more relaxed? Or?
I think we only find that out post the fact. I mean, it's one of those things you got to be careful with training sessions. We don't either overcook them or underdo them, so they're not ready for the weekend. But we're comfortable with our preparation.
And what about the oldest challenge in football of getting straight kicking towards goal? How'd you go with that one?
Yeah, we're working on that. Look, as I recognised after the game last week, it was, it wasn't ideal, and it hasn't been great for a little period of time. Now it's one of those things which we always have in training, and we continue to work on it. And some of it's technique, some of it's mental approach. So look, we would hope we'd get a better result this week.
You kept a scorecard on training this week?
Yeah, we keep a scorecard on training every week. I think I could probably pull the stats out for every shot at goal everyone's had all year. So again, some of that's also a positive reflection for guys who are able to do it at training. It means there's no reason why they shouldn't do it in game.
What stage do you look at a top 4 spot?
Oh, we're a long way off that, and we're at the moment. We've obviously got 9 wins under our belt. For us, it's about win number 10, to be honest. The history tells me in this game, you look too far ahead and you can get hit pretty quickly. So our focus is firmly on Melbourne Sunday, and we'll deal with that, and we'll go from there.
To go further, I suppose it looks like you should seal up a final spot. Was that a pass mark for you at the start of the year? Did you consider anything like that?
We didn't set any real targets at the start of the year. We came in wanting to make sure we played a style and continue to improve, and where that led us will be where that leads us. At the end of it, you sort of get what you get in this game. And look, our first 13 games, we put ourselves in a good position. But I'm also understand that if you go away from what's working for you, or you change things significantly, the results can change pretty quickly. So, at the moment we've got some good form under our belt, and it's important we keep that up.
Don, if I gave you the right to do the fixture, would you want it like it is at the moment, where you're not playing so many of the top 8 sides for the next few weeks, or would you prefer it to be a hard run so you can harden up the group? Which does it work?
I'd probably stay away from. I personally wouldn't want to get involved in the fixtures. It's a hard thing, the fixtures.
Just curious about, can an easy run against the bottom 8 to bottom 10 teams not give you a real guidance as to what you're up for in September, and prepare you and now as the timeline to September narrows on you? Which would you have it as?
I haven't really given it any thought, to be honest. I pretty much go week to week. I mean, if you ask me who we play beyond the next couple of games, I'd struggle, to be honest. I don't look too far ahead in the draw. I think each week, as I said, provides a unique challenge. And there's not a side in this comp that, as we saw last week, a couple of games that were really close, and St Kilda obviously had a good win over Geelong. This game doesn't allow you to think you're playing a bottom side or a top side. I think every side on their day is more than capable, and we play a really good side who's an upcoming strong side. Had some great performances here on Sunday, and we've got to make sure we're ready to go.
What about the health of the squad?
Sorry.
Health of the squad after training, is there anything that's come up from training?
No, we're obviously having a bit of a longer break, so allowed us to recover really well. So the health of the squad's really good, and again, we've got some guys in the sample who continue to push for spots, and that's a positive for us, but it makes selection a bit harder.
Hawthorn, North Melbourne, Geelong and the Giants will have the bye this week. How important is it psychologically to get the win over Melbourne and close the gap on that top 4 in the leaders there?
I wouldn't say it's psychological. I'd say it's probably more just our ability to keep playing the sort of footy we want to play, and keep our season moving in the right direction.
Would you have 2 buys?
Would I have 2 buys? I haven't really thought about it, to be honest.
Don, just to clear up something that's been said in other media, did Josh Jenkins come to you and have a discussion about what had been said about him at list management, and then you had to get involved in that discussion with David Noble and Mark Rashuda?
No, I had a conversation, as I do with all of our players regularly, on how they're tracking both on-field and off-field. So it wasn't anything out of the ordinary.
Do you feel like you've sort of snuck under the radar a little bit, and since North Melbourne there's been a lot of talk of top four and premiership contender and all this sort of stuff? How does all that sit with you? Do you feel like you have sort of snuck under the radar until this point?
No, I don't think so. I think what we've been able to do, as I said, over the first 13 weeks is build on the way we want to play our footy. And we've had some good performances in there, and we've had some not so good, and we continue to learn from those. And as I said, at the start of the year, our aim was to continually improve, and we're down that path. I think we're improving in certain areas of our game. We've still got a lot of work to do, but we're making positive steps forward. And where that leads us, time tells. I mean, you can't afford to get, as I said before, you can't afford to get ahead of yourself in this game.
I'm going to take you back to when you were a player. What did you learn about the MCG? How to play as a player?
You're taking me back a while there.
It's not that long ago.
I don't know if there's anything particular I learnt in terms of the MCG. Look, it's a like all grounds, they're unique size, slightly, it's a bit rounder than everything else. There's a component, the MCG, which it's a great place to play. It's a fantastic stadium. It's arguably the home of footy. It's where the grand finals played. So it's one of those ones where you get out there and it's good fun to play at the MCG. To be honest, it's what it's about.
Is Mick's line about the way he taught the Eagles? You had to run onto the ball in Melbourne because it wasn't like Perth where the ball runs to you. Is that still relevant there, or was the change of the turf?
No, I think the change of the turf's adjusted all that. I think you're talking back in the day where it was boggy and it was heavy, and therefore the ball wouldn't bounce. And that certainly, you're playing on the big wide grounds at WA, and then you go up to Moorabbin where it sticks in the mud. It was quite a different game.
You expect to go unchanged this week?
I'll wait and see. We've got match committee coming out, obviously, till we've got the game Sunday. We've got main train tomorrow. We'll sit down after that and look at selection.